Quick intro. Welcome, everyone. It is Tuesday, June 1st. What? June? Is it already June? It seems like it was just January. Welcome to year 2 of COVID. Anyway, here we are, Zoom meeting. I figure there's going to be a point at which I use the phrase zoomed out, because I heard Sue say the word zoomed out the other day. And I was like, that's a really cool, like, to give a high level look, but also like to actually leave Zoom. But anyway, I'm going to figure out how to put that into a presentation. For now, I'm going to introduce Bing Ing from First National Excalibur, which is the alternate lender of First National. Sarah Almond is also here with us today. So I'm going to turn it over to you guys. Feel free to give a little intro, Bing. I think we already know Sarah. Unless you want to do another intro, Sarah, that's totally cool too. And
you know what? I will.
Yes, you will. All right. So all yours, guys. You've got
Sarah,
usually we go 30 to 60 minutes. I mean, 60 might be pushing it. It's hot out.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Thanks, guys. Okay, all yours.
I think around 30, 45 would be good. So. Yeah, go ahead, Sarah.
Thanks, everyone. Peter, it's so funny. I remember whenever you hit that record, or okay, I'm just going to start recording this. I swear to goodness, I instantly start sweating. I don't know why it makes me nervous, but instantly I feel like the formal level just got brought up a notch. But anyway,
yeah, just so you know, Sarah, these are actually published on the internet. We have our own YouTube channel. Like, subscribe, click the bell for notifications. So just so you know, no pressure.
We're on the YouTube. Amazing. Awesome. So I'm so happy to formally introduce Bing to the team. Excalibur has sort of been I almost want to say like a rumor, a secret at First National, because they launched in Ontario, because the center of the universe gets everything first, and they're highly successful in Ontario. The plan was always to expand out west. It was just a matter of time, and happy to say that Excalibur is now fully lending out west, and Bing has been with First National now for 2 months. And prior to that, his background was at Equitable. So he was previously underwriting, and I believe this is his first foray into the BDM account manager role. So let's take it easy on him in regards to that. And before I pass it off to Bing, so you can learn Jeff. Everyone except Deb, let's take it easy on him. I'm trying.
He's underwritten a couple of my deals for Equitable before.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So this is not familiar. Yeah. Nothing new.
Okay. And one thing I will mention about Excalibur is one of my Kelowna brokers recently funded a deal, and the comment that I got back from her was it was the best bee experience that she's had, which I thought was pretty cool to hear. So I will pass it over to Bing. That being said, after this is done, after Bing does his thing, if anybody has any questions for me, happy to cover off whatever you need anyway. But with that, it is all yours, Bing.
Awesome, thanks, Sarah. So I'm just gonna jump right in to the presentation. Let me just work the share screen out here.
Guaranteed Bing underwrites a lot quicker than this. Totally.
Give me 1 second. I'm just trying to reach desktop here.
I honestly feel like the worst coworker when it comes to tech stuff, because you're on your own, Bing. Like, I've got no help. You're on your own.
Do you guys see the presentation yet?
No,
we're
all
still
we
on the
see
screen.
is we see your Zoom and then my Zoom. It's kind of weird.
No worries.
I see mine too.
Double zoom.
There you go.
There we go.
You guys got it?
Yes.
Yes.
Awesome.
I do, anyway.
All right, finally. There we go. Well, let's start. Hello, everyone, and welcome to First National's Excalibur presentation today. First off, I just want to thank you all for joining the call today as we're going over the products we offer and discuss how we can add value to you and your clients while giving an insight into the benefits of choosing First National Excalibur as your go-to option in the alternative lending space. So first off, why choose Excalibur? Well, for starters, there's Bing. Now, for those of you who I haven't had the pleasure of meeting yet, I am First National's account manager for the BC region. I'll be the primary point of contact for your team on anything Excalibur related before it hits the underwriter's desk. And I'll also be there to support the file if any issues arise afterwards. So prior to starting with Excalibur, as Deb mentioned, we've dealt with your team, I believe, at Equitable for a little bit. And I was with Equitable for 6 years before moving over to First National. So aside from a dedicated account manager, you'll also have access to a dedicated team of underwriters and fulfillment specialists who specialize in guiding you through the underwriting process and servicing your files from front to back. Something exciting to look forward to is that we will be looking to have a team based out in BC in the near future. So stay tuned for that. We're currently looking to hire, but I think the estimated timeline for that will probably be in July and August. So, stay tuned for that, and we'll have a dedicated team out here pretty soon. Underwriting will be able to leverage the programs offered in Excalibur to find solutions to common challenges such as bruised credit and extended ratios that typically are the reasons that drive clients to look for alternative solutions in the first place. So the goal of our program is to properly address those needs and provide a timely solution for you and your clients. So as you may know, First National has always been proud of the fact that we are able to offer consistent and exceptional service when it comes to our turnaround times on the prime side. And Excalibur is no different when it comes to matching that reputation for service. So we currently offer a 4-hour turnaround time and a 24 to 48-hour documentation review. So that's part of our service level agreements on the Excalibur side. So I think that matches up pretty well with the prime side. Obviously, right now, there's special cases, let's say during month end or during this current transition from a 4.79 stress test to 5.25 stress test. That may cause delays due to volume, but typically we try to adhere to either same day or next day commitments. And again, once documents are received, 24 to 48 hours for the review. So in the current market space, I believe that service and turnaround are two of the most important factors in building customer loyalty and retention. With Excalibur, we want to strive to be your first choice for you and your clients in providing the service level for each and every deal. So in terms of products, we have 4 major categories that we deal with here at Excalibur. These include bruised credit, extended ratios, business for self-stated income, and rentals. Every deal that we have come across usually deals with at least 2 or more of these products, and we'll utilize a combination of these products to find the perfect fit for your file when it is submitted. So some general guidelines that apply to all of these products include the following. So minimum beacon for applicants must be 560 for the first 3 categories, with rentals requiring a minimum beacon of 600. Down payment can be 100% gifted from immediate family members for all files, including rentals. We're able to go up to 80% loan to value with no scaling, up to a max loan of 1.5 million, including rentals. So a little asterisk on this is 1.5 million is typically our max loan, but we are able to look at loans higher than that if required, but those will be on exception basis and requires, I believe, a pre-approval prior to issuing a commitment on those.
Bing, is that location specific? So does that 1.5 apply in Vancouver and then not in the Okanagan, or?
No, it applies to anywhere that is considered that is on our approved lending list. So any place that's on that list, if it goes up to that high, we will look at it. So yeah, no, not location specific in this case. And we are able to go up to 80% for any location that's on our approved lending list. So that's good to know.
Is that
Okay.
approved lending list the same as the First National A lending list, or is it different for Excalibur?
No, it'll be different for Excalibur. So, and it'll be on Merlin. So on Merlin portal, if you go under where you normally look at the lending list for the prime side, just underneath that, you'll find the Excalibur dropdown list, and then you can find a lending list there for us. Is that okay, Peter?
Yes, thanks.
All right, so just moving on. Maximum properties allowed under all programs are 5 with 1 owner occupied and max 4 rentals, okay? So again, total number of properties can be 5 with 1 owner occupied and 4 rentals. So it's Bruce credit or just credit in general. We'd like to find out the story of where the clients are at with their credit currently and how they got to this point in the first place. So just answer questions like, was it a one-time event caused by hardship due to, let's say, for example, a separation or illness, like a bankruptcy, consumer proposal, maybe something happened in the family. Just give us a story, and then we'll be able to work with it in Bruce credit scenarios. Make sure to highlight the client's good character by noting how they have cleaned up their credit after falling behind. A good way to do this is to explain how the clients have reestablished their credit after the one-time life event by paying down their debts and maintaining their payments with low utilization, for example. Within the Bruce credit program, we're able to look at ex-bankrupts, the minimum discharge period of 6 months. And we are also able to look at active consumer proposals. So let's say if the clients have an active consumer proposal they want to pay out right now with a refinance, we're able to consider those, along with CRA arrears and property tax arrears as well. So for extended ratios, we're able to look at GDS and TDS up to 50-50 for loan to values up to 80%. And further extended ratios of 55-55 for deals with loan to value ratios up to 65%. Okay, so anything at 65% below, we are able to consider up to 55-55. So that's something to keep in mind for deals where you're struggling to fit it in under the 50-50. These figures will be based on a 30-year amortization with a qualifying rate of contract plus 2, or the BOC 5-year rate, whichever is greater. So this program, for example, is an excellent fit for clients who have just missed the qualifying debt servicing requirements for prime, that are currently looking for a temporary solution until they are able to qualify for prime side again, let's say in a year or two. So for the business for self-stated income program, we'll be using the client's active business revenue and cash flow to determine debt servicing. Under this program, I believe, if you're familiar with other programs such as this with other lenders, it works in a very similar way, okay? So the documentation required for us include 6-month bank statements showing revenue of the business. If a client is a sole proprietor, we are able to consider personal bank statements as long as it makes sense for the business type. Proof of business ownership via articles of incorporation, business license, and registration, for example. Invoices and contracts to support some of the deposits shown on the bank statements. So typically we'll ask for 2 to 3 to support the deposits that are going in, just to make sure that they are business deposits. And the client will be required to complete a BFS self-declaration letter to confirm the income they are using to qualify for the deal, okay? And here you see a example of our BFS declaration letter. Notice on here that we only ask for the final qualifying income to be stated. We don't ask for the expenses to be shown on here. And the reason for that is typically when you're running a scenario by an underwriter, once you submit the deal, they will send you a checklist of expenses to be used, or example of expenses to be used, where you can kind of just fill out that list and email it back to the underwriter so they can make their notes on their end. Okay. The qualifying income used will be based on a calculation of 6 months revenue shown in bank statements multiplied by 2 to get the annual gross revenue for the business. We'll then take off reasonable expenses, as you can see on this slide, which include fixed expenses such as rent, salary, leases, and variable expenses such as cost of goods sold. The qualifying income will be based on gross revenue minus data expenses, and that is what we'll be using to qualify clients for the file. Please note that every type of business operates differently, and therefore the expenses will vary as well. We do not have a fixed percentage of expenses to take off for any individual type of business, but the rule of thumb should always be reasonability when it comes to stating expenses. So in this next slide, we have some do's and don'ts for the stated income program. So let's list them off for you. So the first thing is know the business. Be able to articulate and relay the business information over to your underwriters. Put appropriate notes in the submission to help for faster turnarounds. Number 2, understand and know what type of expenses you're going to use, and make sure to review the bank statements for any additional explicit expenses. So what that means is any expenses that are reoccurring that show up on the bank statements should be noted within your expenses for the declaration as well. And do make sure invoices or contracts fully support deposits being used for gross income. So, to a certain degree, make sure that invoices that you use to support deposits do match with the deposits shown. And if they don't, be sure to have an explanation for why they don't in that case. So don't send in NOAs or T1s or financials in which business income is not supported. And the reason for that is typically there are a lot of write-offs and accounting that is done through those tax docs. So, if it's not requested by the underwriter to send those documents in to support the deal, you are not required to provide those on the Excalibur side. Okay. Don't send a numbered company or put BFS in the income section with no notes. Make sure to be detailed in regards to explaining what the clients do with their business. That will help the underwriters kind of have a better understanding of what type of expenses or income level makes sense for what you're declaring. And don't overstate income or use gross revenue as income. And the reason for that is we have to look at qualifying the clients with the net income after expenses. So that's important as well. Okay, for the Excalibur rental program, here's some highlights. We do purchase and refinances for rental properties. For purchase and refinances, we do up to 80% LTV on beacon scores of 680 plus. Okay, and on refinances specifically, if the beacon score is less than 680, we can do up to 75% on those. Okay, maximum loan amount again is 1.5 million. Maximum debt servicing GDS TDS is 50/50 with amortization of 30 years. And maximum 4 rental properties and maximum 4 units in each property. And when we talk about units, we're talking about how many doors we see. Okay, minimum down payment, again, for all Excalibur deals would be 20%. Again, we accept 100% gifted funds for the rental program as well. So I believe that is a differentiation between Excalibur and the prime side. 100% of the rental income can be added back to gross income. And minimum beacon score for this specific program is 600. And minimum net worth required is 100,000. And that can include net worth that's shown as real estate equity. Okay. One more thing to note is we do have a separate rental approved lending list compared to the owner-occupied list. It is much shorter, but the general rule of thumb is for any area that is on our owner-occupied list, as long as the population is greater than 25,000, it can also be considered for our rental program. Okay, so that's something that's not on here, but I would like to add to it.
For the rental program.
And how is rental income calculated? So first of all, for subject property rental income, we don't do an offset. We do an add back 100% of rent to gross incomes.
Bing,
yes?
We have a question.
Okay.
Bing, just a question. For rental properties, and maybe I missed this, are you only including long-term rentals or are short-term rentals allowable?
Long-term rentals only. Short-term rentals, I haven't come across one, but I should say I haven't come across one that that was approved. So there have been submissions, but I haven't had an example where we have approved any of those. It doesn't explicitly say in our policy that we don't do them, but I would say in general, long-term rentals. Yeah. Any other questions? Okay.
Oh, there was one more in there, Bing, and it's gonna be something that we'll kind of come back around to. But Deb was just asking within the chat about possibly getting a list of the lending areas, because when she went on to the Merlin site, she couldn't actually download a PDF.
Oh, no worries. I can forward you guys the packages that I have on my my work laptop. So I'll just do that right after the meeting. Okay, so just moving on. So again, 100% of rental income can be added back to gross income. So, for example, if a property is rented for $1,000 a month, we can add back $12,000 directly to the gross income for debt servicing calculations. Also applies for owner-occupied and tenanted basement suite. So again, if it's a owner-occupied property, we can take the suite income, and it also applies as 100% add back. For non-subject properties with rental income, you must complete a rental worksheet, even if there is only one other non-subject property rental. So that is a question that comes up a lot and requires clarifying. Again, even if there's only one rental in the client's portfolio, we still have to include that into a rental worksheet if it's a non-subject. And once the calculations are done for the rental properties, if it's a surplus, we add it back again 100% to income. If there is a deficit, we will include it as a liability payment on the debt servicing. A good tip to know when submitting a deal, let's say with rental properties and rental property information within the liabilities, is to check exclude from TDS on the application while still inputting the other details for the properties. Okay, here is a copy of our rental worksheet for an example. One thing to note is if, let's say, the tenants are responsible for paying utilities and heat, you can exclude those from the calculations as long as we can confirm the lease agreements, for example. Okay, so how is Excalibur different from the other alternative lenders? Well, we do have the highest rate hold in the industry at 120 days for the purchase and 90 days for refinances. We do offer bridge financing available at Prime Plus 2 with a $500 fee. Okay. We do offer the same appraisal list as the Prime side. And that is important to note because if you like to work with specific appraisers on the Prime side, you can also go to them for us as well. Okay. And you can order direct. And again, with BC, a very recent change we've had is we've had expanded lending areas within BC that reach out to more locations in the interior, as well as on Vancouver Island. So I think that's a huge improvement in terms of what we can do as a lender. Again, I'll forward that list to you guys after the presentation. The next thing is we are able to instruct files prior to document completion. So what that means is if you have an approval and a commitment sent out, once you send us the sign back along with the solicitor information, we can actually instruct the file pretty much right away. Okay, we don't have to wait for document completion, or we don't have to wait 10 days prior to, have documents complete 10 days prior to instructing. So I think that's a real advantage in this market because of how quick closings are for specific deals. Our penalty for discharge or prepayment is 3 months or interest rate differential, whichever is greater. And we do not require a bona fide sale. Okay. We do mortgage over $1 million. As noted earlier, we do up to 1.5 on most deals. Okay. And we do offer quick closes. So again, a testimonial and a very recent one was we actually had a deal done within a 2-day time frame. So the previous record was 3-day. Now it's we've had one done 2 days, and that's from another account manager that shared that story with us. Obviously, you know, depending on the time, so let's say month end or high volume times, you know, that might cause, you know, some delays in closing, or the time required to do a deal might be longer. But under normal circumstances, yeah, we do welcome quick closes, just not for every deal. Yeah. Okay, so helpful hints for submission. You know, for your submission notes, please ensure you include details of all 5 of these areas to ensure the underwriters has the required information to make an informed decision on the deal. This will ensure an accurate decision is reached, which will be more efficient in the long run. So again, when you're submitting the deal, make sure to hit on all these points. You know, talk about the applicants, you know, what they do, you know, a little bit of their backstory, what kind of people they are, creditworthiness. Talk a little bit about the property, you know, like age of the property, where it's located, the neighborhood. Talk about the credit, right? Like if there was, like for the Boost credit program, if there was an incident before, make sure to let us know why that occurred. And important to note, typically if it's like a major credit event, just note that it's a one-time thing, and show and provide rationale on how the clients have reestablished their credit. For down payment, for example, is it gifted, savings, where is it coming from? And for income, talk about how long the clients have been doing what they do. You know, if it's BFS, we'll need a minimum of 2 years BFS tenure. And if it's less than 2 years, for example, we can also take a look at it if they've been working in the same industry. So again, with all our programs, it's very flexible, but you know, how well the submission notes are put together, it will determine how efficient the deal is done, and how much of an understanding the underwriters will have on it to come in on it right off the bat. Again, if you have any questions on these particular details, or anything that you're unsure of, you know, please feel free to reach out to me, you know, before you submit, and we can go over them together. Okay, so next is Merlin. I'm pretty sure if all of you have dealt with the First National A side in some way, you guys will be pretty familiar with the Merlin broker portal. But just to give you another high level overview, you know, our approved appraisal list will be on there. Documents such as rental worksheet, client consent, and gift letter are in there as well. And again, our approved lending areas for Excalibur are in there, but I will also send a copy after the presentation. And we also have a product sheet. So again, all our product sheets such as Bruce credit, extended ratios, stated income program, all those will be in there for your review, and it's available 24/7. So you can access at any time and check on the status of your deals. So the graduation program, this is, you know, a program that I like to highlight every time, just because it offers a good exit strategy for clients when they're considering Excalibur, right? For example, you know, I think this applies a lot to clients who have just missed the bar to qualify under the prime side, and are looking towards Excalibur as a temporary solution. You know, after the 1 or 2 years that they are with us at Excalibur, they are able to graduate into the prime side as long as they qualify at that time. So again, a key thing to note is this is a broker-initiated program. So at the end of maturity for their existing deal with Excalibur, make sure to talk to the clients at that time. And again, make sure on the new submission to Prime, note that it is a graduation of an existing deal from Excalibur. Okay. So again, what are the benefits of this program? There are a couple actually. No legal fees. We do the legal process through the FCT to close a deal in this case. And again, we bear the cost as a lender. So the clients don't have to pay anything out of pocket. If AVM passes, no appraisal required. And even if there is an appraisal required, we do bear the costs for that under this program. And again, as a broker, you'll receive a full commission for the deal. So full comps on the deal.
Hey Bing, on the
Yes.
question about, or the note about AVM, usually
Okay.
if we have an AVM through First Nat, there's a $150 fee that's deducted at the lawyers. Does that mean that if there is an AVM that there would be no charge for that?
Yeah, so any appraisal costs related to this program, so the graduation program specifically, will be covered.
Awesome.
Okay. Okay, so any questions?
I just have to say that the graduation program to me is one of the things that I look for in those B lenders, the alternate lenders, because it makes that process a lot easier to move from the B space to the A space. Is there a smaller requirement for documentation, or are we basically looking at this as a brand new file, but just kind of getting rid of some of the fees?
Sorry, say that again, Peter. Sorry, I just missed that.
So the question was, as they move from the Excalibur program to First Nat, are we essentially underwriting it as a completely new file, so full income, full everything, and just a reduction in the kind of fees and the various back office things that the client might not necessarily have to pay for?
Yes, they will have to requalify for the prime side at that time, and they can take advantage of the rates at that time. Sarah, do you have anything to add to that?
No, just that that graduation program seems to be pretty awesome. It is full requalification, like a brand new deal, but full broker comp, zero cost to the lawyer, and it's your exit strategy all bundled into one. So yeah. Bing's probably going to try to mute me when I try to say this example, but we recently had a file, and not like any of us like to operate under this sort of stress, but broker was in a very hard spot with regards to a rental deal, and had to do with a gifted down payment being involved and miscommunication. At the end of the day, deal was submitted to Excalibur on a Friday, and they funded the next Friday. Again, to be clear, nobody likes working under that kind of stress, and things just kind of magically aligned for this deal. But I thought that was pretty impressive. Anyway, and I took full credit for it as well.
Yes, Sarah did. No, that was a good learning experience. So that really showed how efficient actually that Excalibur can get a deal done, under a tight timeline. So I was pretty impressed, and I thought that was a pretty good testimonial for the kind of service level that we can provide.
Yeah.
How is that viewed when it goes from Excalibur to First Nat? Are we talking about a transfer, or is it considered a refi, or what is the submission?
It'll be essentially, I guess, a transfer, because there, I believe under that program there's no new funds, so it'll be the same mortgage amount. So similar to a renewal, except you're just requalifying under the prime side for that. Yeah.
Any more questions? Can you at least give like a thumbs up or like a smile or something? Thanks, Deb. That'll do, Deb. Thank you.
So Tracy asked a question that was in the chat there. She was saying that in the lending areas, they have Peachland, Summerland, Penticton, and a Soyuz, but not Oliver. What's up with Oliver?
Not too familiar with Oliver myself, so maybe Tracy can tell me about it.
when the highways are open, you should come for a drive. It's lovely. It's basically it's like, I think, and maybe Tracy can back this up, it's probably like the same size as a Soyuz, same size as like a Peachland or a Summerland. It's just between Penticton and a Soyuz.
I actually Googled it. I was messaging Sarah at the same time. So Oliver has, what did I do? Oliver has a population of 4,928, and a Soyuz has a population of 5,085.
Okay.
4,928 seniors, we should say. No, I'm kidding.
No, again, you know what? The approved list has already expanded, I guess. It's been 1 month since it was expanded from its original original capacity, I would say. So if there's any suggestions on anywhere we want that brokers would like to place a focus on, please let me know, and then I'll compile a list and send that up to management. Once I have a large enough list, and again we'll do a review of those areas and see if they're okay to move into going forward. So definitely anything's possible. Again, Excalibur is a pretty new program to BC, so again, we're still looking for ideas and feedback. So anything would be appreciated for sure.
I think Tracy and Judy probably have the greatest stake in that area, and I think between the two, Oliver and Asuyas, I honestly don't think you could really say that there's much of a difference, other than I think maybe Asuyas might be a little bit more seasonal than Oliver. Like Oliver is more of a year-round town.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I mean, those lists are compiled based on, I guess, certain appetites for certain markets. But again, the familiarity with the interior is one thing that I wouldn't say that list fully encapsulates, because you guys are the experts out there, right? So if there's anything that you guys want to bring attention to, for sure, send me an email or let me know, and then I'll definitely pass that along.
And big kudos to Sarah, because you got your name changed on there. I saw that in the middle of the thing, and I saw you smile really.
And I put it in all caps lock.
So will you do a rent to own?
Rent to own, that's a good question. I actually had one of those today. No, we won't, unfortunately. Yeah, I had a situation where it was I believe a gifted equity deal, but also the clients were renting that specific location. So it's gifted equity from family members, and we decided not to do that. So that's a very recent example.
So what makes you special or different than Equitable, Haventry, Bridgewater?
Good question. So I guess, well, one point is, I guess, the simplicity of our kind of rates. We're a beacon-driven lender, so meaning that, hey, if it's 680 plus, it's the same rate across the board. We don't do a lot of premiums or add-ons, all that kind of stuff. The only premium that we do it would be the rental program, which is 50 bips higher than the rate for our owner-occupied properties or owner-occupied deals. So let's say, for example, a 680 plus beacon on a owner-occupied deal would be 274 on 1 and 2 year. On a rental property, it would be 3.24 on a 1 and 2 year. So again, that's pretty easy to remember.
If I've got a client with a beacon score of 680, why would I bring them to an Excalibur? Why couldn't I send them to First National directly? So what makes you special?
Well, to highlight the extended ratios, I'd say, again, there must be a reason why, specific deals can't work on the prime side. Again, I would like to say, because the prime side is very structured, I guess, in terms of what they will or will not look at. So again, we're a bit more.
When you say extended ratios, how far will you go?
We go to 50-50. So 50-50 on up to 80% loan to value, and 55-55 if it's 65% below.
And that's all provable income, right? Unless it's.
We can do stated. Yeah.
Stated for business for self for 6 months or less?
Yeah. Business for self. They need to have at least a 2-year tenure, preferably. But if they have less than a 2-year tenure, we can still look at a deal if they have, prior tenure within the industry. So if they have prior experience, doing what they do currently, but they just, let's say, transition into a business for self model, we can still look at deals like that. So I think that's one of the things. Again, we do 80% up to 1.5 million, so we don't have any scaling up to that amount. I think that's another thing that would differentiate us from other lenders as well.
So we talked a little bit about lending area. One of the things that we find that kind of happens a lot here in Vernon is there's a suburb of Vernon called Coldstream that doesn't have the population base that Vernon does, but it's still kind of part of Vernon. How would that be looked at?
So I would say proximity. Okay, so again, Coldstream is a fairly well-known. Yeah, Coldstream is a very well-known area. I think I do think it is on our list, but I'll have to double check that. But if it's not, then yeah, that would be a place I would recommend on my, like, if it's a submission, I would recommend it up for an exception. Typical rule of thumb is, marketability of the area, let's say population, again, proximity to one of our approved lending areas. So again, in this case, if it's really, really close to Vernon, for example, then yeah, we'll take a look at that. Typically, anything that's off the grid, I would say, would be 65% max, though. So that's something to consider.
I really encourage you, and I know basically I'm going to paraphrase what Bing says here, but I really do encourage you, if you do have any of those types of areas that you're just not sure about, even if you don't see it on that list, keep in mind that Excalibur is new to BC regardless. And let's face it, that list was derived by people in Ontario, right? So bring it to Bing's attention so we can continually expand it, because it's not set in stone.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that everything's going to be magically approved. I'm just saying bring it to our attention so we can discuss it. He's their attention, not mine.
Yeah. I think if it's an area that's off the grid, as long as the deal is good and LTV is low enough, we can look at it. Yeah. So again, we can consider it. Not to say it will be approved for sure, but again, I would like to. If it's a strong deal, I would like to present it for sure.
Does anyone else have any other questions, either for Bing or for Sarah?
So permanent resident that doesn't have established credit yet, Copor does. So if we're not, sorry, just to respond to Minnie's question in the chat. So if we're not looking at, let's say, the income for the non like no established credit individual, we can still look at the deal. If we are to look at income for it, it will be an exception, and again, case by case, depending on how strong the deal is. Typically, we do want, anytime we're using income for a client, we do want them to at least have credit. Yeah.
Or Mindy, is that something that maybe on the A side as well, if you can get alternative sources of credit? Because we offer that on the A side, not to steal your thunder, Bing, but
yeah, no worries.
Yeah, it's been a file that's been sort of tumbling around my desk for a while now. I did actually submit it to Shoddy as pre-approval, but it would have to be insured only in this case.
Okay.
Clients are looking at purchase over $1 million. So yeah, so it's interesting because they've got bank statements here, they've got bank statements from Australia, they have lease agreements from Canada, they've got mortgage statements from Australia, they both, earn high income. She's a veterinarian, he's a landscape designer. She's from Canada, he's new, but it's just, he doesn't have his established credit yet. And it's turning out to be a lot more difficult than I thought it would be. So, yeah.
Any other questions? Anything else? Anybody? Are you guys staying on longer, Peter?
No, I think we're gonna wrap this one up. So yeah, I think it's always nice to have another option within the alternate space. So thank you, Bing, for doing that presentation. What we can do is, if you want to send me the documents, I'm happy to distribute, or if you want me to send you a list of all of our brokers, I think I might have already done that, but if I haven't, let me know and I can send you the list, and then you can distribute to all the team. However, we'll get you guys the info, and yeah, then we can kind of take it from there.
Awesome. Thanks, Peter.
Did we ask about offset or add to income for rental income?
It'll be 100% add back for that. So it'll be 100% add back to rental income, regardless of, I would just say in general, it's, regardless if it's a subject rental, non-subject rental, based on the rental worksheet surplus, it'll be, or rental suite, it'll be 100% add back. Yeah.
Well, we're all talkative. Yeah.
Well, I was trying to wrap it up, and then you had another question, so I'm leaving it open.
Possible to make that awkwardness go away. Like, I honestly feel like there's just no way to avoid those on these.
I think I got it. Zoom out. Click.
Yeah, again, if anyone has any questions, feel free to shoot me a quick email too, right? Yeah, I'm available all day. I work BC hours, so again, I'm available up till 5 and beyond. So anytime you guys have any questions, just shoot me a quick email, give me a call.
Awesome. Thank you so much,
Awesome.
Bing, and thank you, Sarah. Appreciate all that you guys do. I know it's busy, so thank you guys for taking the time out. And Bing, I look forward to getting some of those docs, and we will start sending you some 3-day turnarounds. I mean, no, not necessarily.
For sure. Yeah, I'll get right on that, Peter. Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone.
Okay.
Enjoy the rest of your
Bye.
day.
Take
See you guys.
care.
Yeah. Okay. Bye.